Hi friends, it's Lisa again, checking in with you for our midweek check-in. Hope everyone is well and safe and feeling the Lord's protection and watch care during this crazy time. I hope you had a great Easter and have been keeping up with your studies. This week's lesson is the next to the last, so we're getting to the end of the Israelites' journey. And as I was studying this week, it was another one of those times when the Lord spoke to me about our study, and I wanted to share it with you. We're doing chapters 31, 32, and 33 of Numbers, and I'll cover some of that in our wrap-up at the end of the week, but what I was thinking about today was Numbers 33. Now, if you've done your lesson, you know with me, as you read Numbers 33, it's basically a travelogue that the Lord instructed Moses to write down each of the stages that the Israelites were going through, each place that they went as they left Egypt, all the way to arriving at the edge of the Promised Land, where we find them at right now. And if you start reading that, city after city after city, your eyes can just glaze over and roll back in the back of your head because it really doesn't have any meaning for us. Some of those cities don't exist. We don't know where they are. It's just difficult reading. And so I was wondering, well, we know why Moses wrote it, because the Lord told him to. But what was the Lord's purpose in writing chapter 33? Yes, there is a historical record. That makes sense. Many of the people who were living at that point had not experienced all of that. A few may have been children in Egypt, and as they came through, but really the majority of the people had passed, as we know, when they refused to go into the Promised Land, those 40 years that they spent in the desert. So in thinking about this, I began to think deeper about what is it that the Lord has a purpose in writing this travelogue or the stages of their journey. And as I began to think about it, I began to think about journeys that I had had and why they were important to me. And it sort of made me think about a trip I took with my husband. For my 50th birthday and my 30th anniversary, he took me to Italy for almost 2 weeks, and it was my dream trip. I had always wanted to go. And so now if I hear somebody mention Florence, my mind immediately goes to the Duomo or the Ponte Vecchio, or Rome to the Colosseum, or the Vatican, or the Trevi Fountain. Or if you mention Venice, I just think of those beautiful gondolas and the canals and the trips, and it just fills me with emotion and memories. And as I was thinking through this list of cities that Moses is reading here, they may have felt the same way. Thinking back on that trip, maybe if you mentioned Mara, they thought, oh, bitter water, that's where the Lord turned it sweet. Or Rephidim, where they had no water, and Moses provided water, or the Lord provided water for them from the rock. Or Mount Sinai, where they received the 10 Commandments, where everybody in the camp heard the Lord's voice. So as you think back about those trips, the Lord was reminding them of each step of the way, how He had led them and guided them and went through it. And so I began to think about how that is pertinent to our life today. As we are here in the middle of a COVID-19 stay-at-home order, the Lord has shown Himself strong. He's shown Himself to be outlasting everything else, and He's given us an opportunity to be home, to be quiet, and to spend some time with Him. He's calling our names. And I think during this time, He wants us to think back of the stages of our life, the stages of our faith trip, our faith journey with Him, and what happened at each one, because in the remembrance reminds us of His faithfulness, His provision, His safety. Remember when you couldn't pay the bills and He miraculously provided? Remember when your child was sick and He healed them? Remember when you really needed a job and He provided just the right one at the right time? That new vehicle, the home that you needed, all of those things, remembering how God has provided and led us through the way. So I think during this time, He's calling us to do a travelogue, do a faith travelogue. How has He been in your life? Where has He shown up big? And as we do that, it brings us closer and makes us grateful for where we are, and we look forward to where He wants to lead us. So this week, as you have a few minutes, spend a little bit of time just talking to the Lord, thinking about where you've been, where you're going, and what He's doing. I love you. I'm praying for you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.